Alright, so this is a very special tutorial. This is an actual commission. I was working on a children's book last month. The author needed a few more illustrations. It's of a really cute dog. It's a really beautiful story. I can't wait for it to come out. Basically, I'm just working through this project, working through these images from start to finish. I'm going to try not to speed anything up, so you'll be able to see, everything I do, how I do my sketches, how I do my line work, how I do my color work. So if you really want to see how an actual commission is started and completed and every step in between, then this is the video for you. And another thing is I'm not going to be talking through this one only because it's an actual commission, so I really am concentrating on what I'm doing, but you'll be able to see it. So with that, let's get to it. Alright, so I'm just going to do a little voiceover here. Voiceover action. Alright, so my client sent me photos of Oliver and another dog of similar shape because he wanted specific directions on how he wants him to be posed and things like that. So I just bring the photo directly into Procreate and I work from that. So this is my normal teardrop circle for the nose area and eyes. I've kind of been debating whether I should start with like the head shape and the ears, but for some reason I just tend to go for the nose area and the eyes. But also I've been away for like a week, so it can kind of be hard to kind of get back into the flow of drawing a character, but also because I haven't drawn in a long time, but then also I haven't drawn this character in a long time. When I was doing the actual children's book, I was drawing him like there was maybe a week or 2 weeks or so where I was just drawing him every day, just 10 hours a day working on it, working on the project. So I was very, it was easy for me to draw him because I was kind of in that flow. So I also realized that when I'm drawing a character again, I have to get back into the muscle memory of how this specific character looks, because obviously each image you're drawing is at a slightly different head angle, a slightly different body angle, the legs, and these guys have like really difficult legs to kind of draw because they're small, but they're sort of muscular, and then they sort of like bow out. So it can be a little tricky to kind of get back into the flow of your character. But it just takes time. Sometimes you just have to like warm up, do a couple bad, do a few that just look terrible until you kind of remember like, oh, this is the order that I have to draw things, and this is how I have to make things. And sometimes it's just sometimes it's tough, but you have to work through it. I don't know what I'm pausing for there. Oh, I'm probably just wondering about the ears. The ear shapes. These ears have always been a bit tough, mostly because of the positioning of them. I really need to work on my ears. But it's with the flap, it's like if the ears are back, they're sort of behind the jawbone. So sometimes it takes me a little finagling to get them in the right spot. But, I just kind of erase and draw it again, and erase and draw it again, as many times as I have to. That's what it is to be professional, is just to keep going until it looks worthy. eyes is always like a fun part for me. I really love, drawing the eyes. They really make the character. One thing I have to work on is sometimes I tend to kind of make the eye sockets, or I tend to make the forehead small. It makes sense in this character because he has a very small head. He doesn't have much forehead. But in some of my other characters, I tend to make the forehead a bit small, which I need to work on. But for this character, it makes sense. What I just did there was I just duplicated that layer because I wasn't sure about the eyes. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate the layer, and then I'll erase whatever it is in question, and then I'll just draw a different version. And then I'll decide whether or not the original version was better and I should work on it, or the new version. And if I like the new version, then I'll delete the duplicate layer. But that way it takes a little bit of the pressure out of losing something that you might have to go back to. So yeah, I just duplicate the layer. I did do a little drawing when I was away. I worked on one of the drawings from the 30-minute drawing challenge. I kind of fixed up I fixed up a few of those drawings, but I didn't really have a chance to really work on it and go deep. I need to bring my iPad everywhere in case I want to draw, but sometimes you really need to get into that flow state, and it can be a little annoying when you can't quite get into it. So, but I did do a little bit. I really feel like you have to keep up with the drawing. You can really lose some of that edge if you don't draw for a long time. And I was gone for a week, so I knew I had to do something, because you have to keep that muscle memory going. And when you can keep it going just about every day, that's when you start getting better. But you really just have to put the time in. I started this last night. I'm not even sure it's Wednesday. I started this early Tuesday morning, probably around midnight or so. I was kind of tired and I wanted to go to sleep, but also I'm going camping on Saturday, so I have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I wanted to get both of these done because I just like to get, if I have pending work, I like to get it done as soon as possible. I don't like to let things sit. And also, for me, when I'm drawing things, I don't like to have to contemplate what I'm going to draw. I like to just sit and start fleshing it out and start putting lines, to the tablet. I like to work on it, because sometimes you can think so much about what you're going to do and how it's going to look, and it can just get somewhat, I don't know, it can seem like a bigger deal than it is. Sometimes when I get a commission and I have to draw something, it's oh my god, am I going to be able to draw it? Is it going to look alright? Am I going to be able to work it out? And I get that feeling all the time. That's just a normal feeling for me. But drawing art is the one thing that I know that my brain will take care of me eventually. Sometimes it might not be. Sometimes I have to warm up to it and kind of get into my groove, but I know that I'll eventually get there. It's just a matter of how much time it's going to take. And also it depends on, what you're charging. You don't want to spend too much time. You don't want to spend 5 hours on something that you're charging $100 for. I mean, I guess that's actually not too bad, but you want to get the work done as soon as possible. because your time is money. So that the faster that you can work efficiently, the better. Let me see if I can get rid of this vibrating. Okay. Make sure my audio is still recording. Oh, good, it is. I'm using I couldn't get the audio to record straight into my Mac, like straight in iMovie, because it would have been too easy and too convenient to just record right into iMovie. It just doesn't work. Maybe I need a USB mic or something like that, but I don't know. It's just not working. So I'm using my Pixel. I'm using the audio or the Record app, the regular Google Record app, to do this voiceover. I was just gonna leave it with no sound, but I feel like this is just kind of boring. So I figured I'd do like an audio commentary, narrator type deal. And when I was drawing this, I was pretty focused on it. So I was listening to a podcast. So that was, that's usually how I work. I listen to sometimes some music or a podcast or something like that, and I'll work. So this way I could listen to it and I don't have to worry about like copyright issues and the sound issues. And I can still sort of tell you about, what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I do need to work on like dogs' legs. I need to work on like a base shape. I mean, I kind of know the base shapes, but I kind of need to drill them in a little bit better. Sometimes I look at other Instagram profiles, like Punk Dog, things like that. I look at how they do their animals and how they do their legs, and if I see certain things that I like, I'll just kind of drill that. I'll just kind of take it into my arsenal of how you draw certain things. But I will say that as far as dogs' legs go, these guys are probably the most difficult because they almost have like seal-like legs. My sister's huge pit bull actually has almost identical legs to this, except for the dog is huge. And they're just like a bigger size, but they still have that kind of like muscular, bowed out, short, stocky leg. But one of his legs is probably as big as this whole dog because he's huge. His name is Diesel. Maybe I'll flash a photo of him. We'll see. I'm going to try to if I can edit this audio in easily and it just lays flat, then I'll be happy because I don't want to have to do that much more editing since I'm doing so much audio. This is already taking up some time. I'm pretty sure my Instagram is like shadow banned again. I have no idea. Instagram, I don't know what the deal is with Instagram. For some reason, I have quite a bit of followers, obviously, but my sometimes I'll get zero likes. I went from yesterday getting a normal amount of likes because a few of my posts were on the top post, like the cheetah one was, to all of a sudden, I think I got one like, and then I didn't get another. I didn't have another like until 8 hours later, and that's because I went on a different account of mine, and just to see if I could like one of the images. So it's just weird it's weird for me to go 8 hours on my account and not have one single like on any of my work. So I'm pretty sure that I'm shadow banned for some reason. The only thing I can guess is I was looking at another post that I made maybe a week or two ago, and I saw that I hadn't replied to some comments, so I liked them and I just replied really quickly, thank you so much, really appreciate it, yada yada, whatever. I just replied to them really quickly. And my guess is that I don't know, it was too quickly, and they're like, oh, we think you're a fake account, so we're gonna shadow ban you or something like that. That's my only guess. Or it could just be no one liked any of my artwork for 8 hours. 0. But okay, back to this. So this was the other dog that he sent me. He kind of wanted this stretching pose, but he didn't have a picture of Oliver stretching. So, and that's kind of what I did for other parts of the book. I would just find similar dogs and kind of get the baseline for their poses and things like that. So stretch poses are pretty fun. The hardest part is just figuring out, like, do I want his mouth open? Do I want his mouth closed? I drew with the eyes closed. I just feel like it's just a deeper stretch with the eyes closed. So as you'll see, that's the only difference from the reference photo that I made. So hopefully, so that's just decisions that you have to make as an artist, like what would look best. You can see, like, I can see that I'm like struggling with things. Like, I can tell when I haven't drawn for a long time, because it just takes me just seconds longer to kind of figure out my moves. And also to figure out my moves, hold on, excuse me. To figure out my moves, but then to also have it be succinct with the character. Like, that's the hard thing. It's like, you want to make it look good and make it look cute, but it also has to match the rest of your character. It's very important, obviously. With these kind of like small muscular legs, it is a bit tough for me to kind of figure out the proportions of how to make them a bit foreshortened, but keep them looking clear and precise the way they need to look. It's a little tough. And I can remember going over and doing these legs a bunch of times, so this might be a little tedious, but it's tough because you want to keep those shapes that you see in the image. But then I'm kind of think of, are there any differences with Oliver's legs specifically? But then also I'm thinking, it just has to look good. Like, ultimately, in the end, it just has to look good. So that's another thing that I'm constantly battling against, is the correct anatomy, but also it literally just has to look good in this frame. If it doesn't, then it's a fail, regardless of how true it is to the anatomy or the photo. If it doesn't look good, then it doesn't work. And draw his little butt up in the air. I think the last kind of stretch pose I did was actually for another children's book. It was for a book about polar bears, which I didn't wind up doing the illustrations. I did a bunch of them, but then I think they got a publisher who had their own illustrator. So that kind of sucked. I put a lot of work into it, and obviously I didn't finish the whole thing, but I had put a lot of work into it, into the characters, and we had a lot of back and forth. So I kind of learned that I have to take measures in case that is to happen. Like, I have to say, if I start this project, then I have to accept a certain amount of money. I mean, I did. I took half of the money because, obviously I'm not finishing the project, but that's just another thing that I had to learn along the way, was how to deal with, if you start a project and get halfway through and then they decide to go another direction for one reason or another. It's just part of the game. Here I'm trying to figure out if I want to make his mouth open. And then I realized that I kind of want his nose a bit higher. Like I kind of want his head is a bit angled, so I have to make his nose a bit higher. Because when it's low, it would be more like he's looking down, but I want him to be looking up, sort of towards camera, like the reference. And of course, making sure he's looking extra cute. I don't know if there's a... I guess I can pause. I guess I can pause when I have to clear my throat. I'm going to try that out. Never really done... Actually, in my original videos, I did do audio this way, but I was using a different app. So let me see if I can just pause and see what happens. I think that works. As long as you didn't hear me clear my throat, then it worked. Later on, I'll fix that. I can tell that his now that I'm looking at it straight on, you can sort of see how that part of his mouth is not kind of looks a bit awkward compared to the other side. So, trying to fix that. This is another reason why I would normally flip the screen, but I can tell that he looks... I could see the issue, so if you can see the issue, then you don't necessarily have to flip the screen all the time. Plus, he's not straight on, so it's okay if it's not... if it's a little more... if that side is a little more shallow. And his little chin. I really like making them with their eyes closed. I love drawing eyes, but also it's just such character when they have their eyes closed. I think it looks really cute. Alright, I'm zooming back, taking a look at my handiwork. I like the way the dog's ears are in the photo, but Oliver has very specific shape to his ears that I try to keep consistent, because it's little things like that that you just have to try to keep consistent. Because that's what makes, it's you really want the character to look the same. I mean I guess that's obvious, but it's a little harder than it sounds. Like you have to make sure that it just stays consistent. That's one thing with my children's book. When I look back at it, I kind of improved as I went along. So there's a lot of times I had to go back and change the characters because I could tell that I've improved him. Like I'm just drawing things better. I kind of know the anatomy better of the character that I made up. So sometimes you do have to go back and change things and really make sure that your character stays consistent throughout the whole project. Usually what happens with me is I'll start a project and then I'll get sort of towards the middle, maybe even after the middle, and then I'll have to go back and completely redraw the first few drawings because they'll just look different. Because the more you draw something, the better you get at it. So sometimes you just have to go back and tweak things so your character's consistent throughout. I'm having a lot of trouble with these paws. I mean, it actually doesn't look too bad, but it's you also want to show that you also want to give a little length to his pause, so it's a bit tough, because if they're stretching, then their paws are also out as far as they can go. So, and it's just hard with those little muscular limbs. And I just find pause to be kind of difficult to begin with. So that's another thing that I need to drill. And maybe I'll do a tutorial and I'll just practice pause. I'll look at regular dogs' pause and I'll look at other artists, the way they do pause. I have no shame in the fact that I often reference other artists that I like. If I like their work, then I want to figure out what system they have in place to be able to do what they do. So you should never have any shame in referring to other artists' work, because that's how we all grow and get better. We all look at other artists and aspire to be as good as other artists, and there's no difference with me, and I'm sure probably with the artists that I look up to, there's no difference with them. We all just want to get better, and sometimes you have to figure out the tricks that other artists do and figure out the systems that other artists do to kind of get better. That's why I do these videos. Yeah, there's just something about the top of pause that I find a bit difficult, especially at this angle, because it's sort of overhead looking down. So, stepping back again, seeing what I want to change. It's times like this sometimes when I probably should have just did a clean erase and then just did basic shapes, because sometimes I get too bogged down in the details. So yeah, I finally did erase the pause and just start again. Decided I want them a little closer together. Can't remember which ones I actually go with. If it's these, probably not. I think I do them again. We shall see. Also, let me know in the comments like what you think about these type of videos. Like if they're useful. I'm kind of trying to do more like long form because when I look for art videos and things like that, it's like I kind of like long form videos. I mean, everything is that sort of 10-second, really quick, tutorials where it's like, just the artist's hand and like the whole thing is done in 10 seconds. I'm trying to not do that. I feel like it's very viral, so maybe it's worth it for me to do some things like that. But I kind of just like the long form, for the certain artists that actually want to see from top to bottom. I mean, because you can also just like draw along. You're watching this. You don't have to draw exactly what I'm drawing, but I don't know. I like making the long form videos, and I don't see them that. I don't see them that much. I see a lot of like time lapses on YouTube, so I just trying to like to find my own niche and really do what I like to do. So I appreciate you watching. I'd eventually like to make a few bucks on YouTube, but I think I need like 240,000 minutes of watch time. Like within a calendar year, you need 4,000 hours. I think that equates to 240,000 minutes. I think I'm hovering around like 20,000 minutes now. So, but I've done a lot better since I've started doing a lot of these tutorials. It's been going a lot better, and I'm actually very happy with the more long form stuff that I've been working on, like the tutorials, because I don't know, I just never thought that anyone would watch things all the way through. Like I just, I don't feel like I'm special or have anything like special to say or have any reason to think that people would care to listen to what I have to say. So I think I have to sort of get out of that mindset, which is a bit unnatural for me. Oh, here I go doing the pause again. I spent a lot of time on these pause. Can you hear these people outside? But yeah, I mean, sometimes I struggle on pause, especially these type of pause, and especially in this position. So I'm not surprised. I think I go through a bunch of fails here. Yep, gives new meaning to if first you don't succeed. I think that's the phrase. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm thinking about here. Might have been checking my phone. It happens. I can see them a bit stuck in like these small motions. Sometimes I need to kind of do longer strokes, longer movements. I'm sort of drawing with my fingers. That leg shape looks pretty good. There's sort of like sort of like a drumstick type shape. Like a chicken drumstick. Not like a drumstick. Like the cartoon drumsticks from back in the day. Remember that? They would eat the whole thing in like one bite. Savage. I'm happy with these. They have good length, simpler shapes. Simple little circles for his little paws. I think I stick with this one because I like the way this is looking. Nice simple drumstick shape with a round paw at the end. So I try to match his paws too much, it just gets too, it doesn't really work for this application because there's never that much detail. Like everything has to be kind of smooth. All the lines have to be sort of smooth and round. So sometimes when you get into a lot of like jagged detail, it just kind of changes the look of it in not a good way, unless that's what you want to go for. But you know, in terms of like the way that I draw kind of cartoony characters and things like that, it usually works out to kind of stay loose and round. Just using the liquify to sort of maneuver his little tuchus in the right position. Tuchus. I'm thinking. Since I know I'm going to be doing line work afterwards, sometimes I just fix the, I try to keep my sketches clean. Otherwise, when I do the line work over top, sometimes you can get lost if your sketches aren't too clean. So I think I wound up going to bed at like 6 a.m. or so. After this, I worked on another 30-minute drawing challenge because those are a lot of fun, and I just needed to. It was kind of tough because I'm a bit tired, but I know that that's the best time that I have to just concentrate on work. I don't have like, it's quiet. It's kind of hard during the day to really like make videos and record audio. It's so loud. In the daytime, there's just, people outside just being really loud and things like that. Yes, that is teeth brushing that you're hearing. The cat is staring at me. right now. I'm in my girlfriend's room because she reads out in the living room, which is right next to my little office space, which is underneath my loft bed on the opposite side of the apartment. But when she reads in there, I just feel a bit self-conscious, like recording audio and recording sound. So oh my God. Yeah, I just feel like I'm not quite myself. Like I just feel a little self-conscious, which is weird. I don't know. I'm very introverted, and when it comes to certain things, I'm even more introverted. And for some reason, that's one of the things. You know, I did acting jobs and things like that. You know, and I'm nervous, but I'm fine. I can do it. But there's always just like certain things that I'm more or less, introverted about and make me nervous. All right, so I'm back to the other drawings. I think I'm going to get to some line work now, perhaps. Yeah, so I have the sketch. I always name. Did I name my layers? I should have named them. Oh, I must be just working out some other lines before I do my sketch work, or working out some more little sketch details before I do my line work. But I'm pretty happy with this. It looks cute, very and very close to the actual Oliver. So very happy with that. Except for when I have to erase things. Once again, pause. Very difficult. Definitely gonna have to drill those. And so far, so good on the audio. I mean, I know audio doesn't take up that much space, but I'm very curious to see how long the Google audio app records for. Do his little back nugget foot. It's 1:04. I might have to get something to eat soon. I haven't eaten all day. I try not to eat till 2 or 3 p.m. Especially after vacation, because I just pig out. The first bit of quarantine, it was terrible. When it was stay home, get food, stay home, watch TV, I pigged out. I was just eating. Can you hear that noise? I think there must be people in the foyer being so loud. I'm so curious if you can even hear that. People are so loud. I'm definitely an old man. Just wants peace and quiet. Get off my lawn. I don't know what that voice was. And the cat, I did that voice and the cat just looked at me like, what are you doing? What are you doing, bruv? Trying to sleep, eh? Yeah, so basically now just fixing up these sketches. Because you don't want to jump the gun and start doing line work and then have to fix that. That's annoying. So you want to make sure you get everything, work all the kinks out in the sketches. That's what it's there for. I'll be right back.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
Alright, sorry about that. Just had to go to the bathroom really quick. Still working on these sketches. And still no likes on Instagram. It's so weird. 0 likes for 2 hours. It's very odd. I get follows, but no likes. Anyway, whatever. I don't know why I'm making it so tiny. I might have to go back and actually edit this out. I guess it's too late now, right? Since I'm recording the audio for it, then I'd have to record the audio out as well. So I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm thinking about. Oh, my head does creep in. Look at that crescent. I always wondered if my head creeps in. And it does. I'm just glad you can't see my... No, I didn't have my glasses on, actually. I thought I might have, but I recorded the outro and intro and stuff after this. I think I started recording that stuff at like 4:30 a.m. Man, my head creeps in. At least I'm not covering the drawing. Could have been worse. I'd been really upset if my head creeped in and I was like covering the actual artwork. Oh, that would just be a waste. A waste of my time, a waste of your time. Okay, creeps back out. Okay. It's not too bad. Come on, Dave, keep your head out of the frame, please. You're embarrassing yourself. Oh, a little bit. Just a smidge. It's a weird angle to see yourself at. It actually looks really, really high when in actuality the tripod is maybe like it's maybe like 15 inches because it's on its smallest setting, and I just have it so I have like a cell phone holder and I just have the phone like kind of hanging off the edge, and I also have the tripod so the legs are not fully extended. They're probably like 3/4 of the way like closed. So I just have to be careful too, because if I touch it, the weight is already off balance from the cell phone hanging off. So I have to be careful because it can easily just like tip over. But it's the only way I can kind of get it so that it looks straight. And then I just put the plan in there just to have a little something in that corner. Otherwise it's just a lot of dead space. So I figured I'd give it a little plant life. I don't know if that actually helps. What do you think? Do you think it makes... I don't know what else I can really put there. Everything else looks kind of weird. The cat's looking at me right now. Yes, I'm over here talking to myself. Please and thank you. Should be pretty much coming up to a close on the sketch work. They're both looking pretty good. Still working on those ears. Because you kind of want them flexed back, but then they have to hold true to like what Oliver's ears look like. I kind of want to see if I can record like live video while I'm recording this. I don't know, let's see. Let me try it out. I have to go to story. There's also a good way to see if I'm actually shadow banned, is to try to go live. Let me know how that works. Okay, so clearly I'm doing the artwork, but that was kind of fun to go on Instagram Live. I kind of got sidetracked, but obviously I'm just doing line work, so you don't really need, you can kind of follow along. But that was fun. I think I'm going to do some live sketches on Instagram, since I can actually go live, which means if I am shadow banned, it's a different type of shadow ban, because that was kind of my metric to see when I was not shadow banned anymore, was when I was able to go live again. Because I'd never gone live and it said, oh, some of your posts have been removed due to violation or something else, or copyright or something like that. I don't really know what it was, but it just wasn't letting me go live. So I don't know. And it actually happened when I updated the app. I feel like Instagram was a little wonky since I updated, but that's okay. I'm much more doing this for YouTube. Computer's going to sleep. Much more doing this for YouTube, doing the long-term tutorials. But I do have some artwork that I can actually post on Instagram. I have some artwork that I just, from my last 30-minute drawing challenge. And I'm going to post the live thing in my IGTV. So I'm not going to post the preview, so it won't be on my profile. So just go to the middle tab on my profile for the IGTV, and you should see the Instagram live video. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically, I wanted to get, I can't quite remember the colors that I use for all the certain things, but I try to make sure that that's very precise, and I'm using the same color. So I just opened up an old image so I could copy the colors. I think in the next video I actually bring one of the images over. That way I have like a reference of the colors that I use, because I was able to do it. I was able to remember when I was working on this 24/7, but now that I haven't worked on it for a while, I have to just double check the colors. The outline is all in a dark brown. Not as dark a brown as his eyes, but they're just a very dark brown color. Except for the nose, mouth, and eyes, like I do those lines in black, the rest is in brown. I usually don't use like a black outline anymore. I usually tend to go with like a brown or even like a reddish. I just feel like it looks better than black. There's something about a black outline that I don't really like that much. Like, it's fine for like a sketch or like just line work, but when I'm doing cartoons and character work, I tend to either get rid of the lines altogether, like by matching the lines to their like skin tone or whatever the color is on their fur or something like that. But yeah, I don't usually use black just for a regular line. The only things I use it for is the nose, the mouth, and the eyelids, eyelash type thing. I always make that black, so it kind of like pops. And also some animals, like the bottom lip is usually black, so like I'll use black for that as well. But everything else is like usually some sort of natural looking color, like a brown, or like even a reddish brown. Got an incoming call. 917, huh? That's weird. I don't think I'll be able to answer it, though. Unless I have, like, speakerphone. Yeah, I'm just gonna let it go. It's a 917 number, so that might be that's usually a New York number, I think. See if I can listen to my voicemail.
Jennifer calling from background. Give me a call regarding the EE commercial shooting Friday. My number is 917.
So I might have to work tomorrow. I think that's what that call is. Alright, so I'm going to pause this so I can... Let me pause. Alright, so... Took the phone call, so I am working Friday, and they want me to go up Thursday. It's in Connecticut, so I'm glad I got these done, because now I literally wouldn't have that much time to get it done otherwise. That's the general reason why I try to get everything done as soon as possible, because life just happens, you know. Seems like I also have to like cut my hair and shave, so I won't be such a woolly guy like I am in this intro and outro. Yeah, when I do line work, I try to do. I want to keep a little bit of the sketchy look. That's why I use my Sketchmaster brush, but it's also about like doing it in the least amount of strokes as possible. So I try to make it as fluid as possible. So if you see, I try to like get most of the ear in at once. I just think it looks better than if it's choppy, then it doesn't really look well. Although I do need to put that his jaw. I think I'm gonna put it in front of his ear. So I don't know when I do that, but I'm pretty sure I do. So they were saying I have to get like a COVID test. Like they might have one on set, or they'll pay whatever the SAG fee is for like a quarter of a day to like go get it done myself. But I'm pretty sure that it takes like minimum or earliest like 3 or 4 days to get the results. So I don't know, that's interesting. We shall see. But this will be my first time working in a long while, in like months. So kind of cool that it's a commercial. And it's kind of nice that the good thing about working commercials also, when travel is involved, is it kind of like narrows down like what they're looking for, and sometimes you have a good opportunity to get a little bump you up, make a little more money, because not everyone has a car and is able to travel. So it's kind of nice when you can take these jobs that are a couple hours away. I don't really like driving, but if I'm getting paid to do it, then that's fine. I can suck it up. Look at his little muscly little legs. Those toes, I really need to work on like those toes. I just need to figure out a nice foolproof system so that I can always get them right, because they're tricky. Like, it seems so simple. It's like such a simple shape, but it really they really can be tricky. And they're very important with like dogs and cats and big cats. And I love drawing them. I draw them a lot, so like with the cheetahs, those big huge paws, I like to kind of accentuate the big paws, so gotta work on them. I don't think I recorded it, but after I did these eyes, I actually, once I did the coloring and stuff like that, I actually edited them again. That's the great thing about digital art, is you can always go back and reassess what you've done, and I'm never afraid to like make changes. Like if something is weird or something is off, I always just make the change, regardless of how far along the line I am. And I always save each individual layers, and then I'll merge them, copy the image, and then I'll undo the copy, undo the merge, and then I'll just save the individual layers as a group. And then I'll make a new layer, and I'll do the 3-finger gesture and paste, because it doesn't matter if you undo the copy, whatever you copied is still in like the clipboard, so the full image will still paste above. So then I have all the layers of the drawing individually, and I have the flattened drawing of the dog. So I'll do my edits on like the flattened layer, because if I ever need the regular layers again or something like that, if I ever need to go back, I have all the layers separate. So that's like a neat little thing that I always do, because if you're doing commissioned work, you always want to make sure that you have you always want to make sure that it's as editable as possible, because you never know what edits you're going to have to make and what's going to be easiest. And it's really hard when you have to go back and like redraw things. I mean, you might have to redraw things anyway, but sometimes it'll be easier if you just have the layers and you're like, okay, let me just go to this layer and change this, rather than trying to change something on a flat, just on a flat layer. But usually I will change things on the flat layer, because depending on what the issue is, if it's just something that I'm seeing, like just some sort of like details or something like that, then I'll just go ahead and do it on the flat layer. But just so I feel safer, I always save the individual layers as well. And so I'm leaving. So I leave tomorrow, and then I'm working Friday. And hopefully it won't be a long day. I don't think it'll be a long day. Hopefully not. But then I'll come back, and then I'm driving back up to the Catskills on Saturday morning, early Saturday morning too, to hike. So I'm gonna be tired. It's gonna be a rough. Well, the hike will be tough, but then after that we're doing Getaway House, which is also in the Catskills, and that's these little tiny cabins. They're really cute, so that will be very relaxing. But I might be a little tired. The hike in on early Saturday morning might be a little rough, and that's a lot of driving for me for the next couple days. I don't usually drive that much. So now we're just getting into a bit of me of how I color. I use the orange because it's easy to see against a light background, and also it's easy to see against the black line, so I don't leave any gaps. But I basically just paint, kind of just like block in the orange paint for the body. I separate the head because since he has different markings on his head, like different colors, so I'll do the body all at once, and then I'll do the head separately. Just so when I do the markings on his head, I don't have to stay within the lines. If the head is blocked out itself, and just the head is white, so I can do an alpha lock, or I can select just the head, make a new layer above it, and then I can, like a new blank layer, and then I can paint on that and still stay within the blocking of the head shape. So that's why I do the head differently. And the same with the body. So when I want to do the different colors on his body, I can just, like the area where I'm at now, I can just paint that in, and I don't have to worry about painting on his face. And then I just do a new layer, and I block in the paint on his head. So far, so good on the recorder app. It's working pretty well. Hopefully, I'm not talking too loud, but we'll see. I can always turn it down, but I have a fairly low voice, so I doubt that I'm talking too loud. When I do the recordings, like the one you're actually seeing, I use an old iPhone S. I'm recording my voice on my Pixel 3. Both I use the lav mic plugged into the phone, but now I'm using my Pixel 3 to record this audio. But for the visuals, I'm using an old iPhone S. And when I do like the 30-minute challenge, I have my microphone plugged into that, but I have to keep it so close to my mouth because for some reason the mic input on that phone is just terrible. Like, I'm using the same mic I am here, but it only seems like 40% of the audio is actually going in. So I always have to go into iMovie and put the volume up to 400% just so you can even hear me. It's really annoying. I don't know what it is. I have a lot of problems with Macs. I have problems with the audio. Even on my MacBook Air, when I was trying to do this narration just into iMovie, which would have been really convenient and really easy, it just doesn't work. It works on Zoom. At least I'm pretty sure it works on Zoom because I plug in my headphones and I can hear, and I just use the mic. So I know that it picks up somehow, but for iMovie, it just doesn't work. It's really annoying. So now I have to record it into my phone and then bring the file onto my computer and then plug that in and edit everything separately. It's like, but I mean, they're great at other stuff, so it's like, you win some, you lose some. Because everything with them has to be like proprietary. It has to be you have to buy our mics for our computers. You can't use anything else. You can't use any chargers. That's the only thing I don't like about Mac, iOS devices. But I get it. It is what it is. The iPhone, I mean the iPad is the best thing I've ever drawn on. So you got to give credit where it's due. I don't know if you can hear that buzzer outside. People are just coming and going. So I think I'm going to have a protein shake because I'm pretty hungry now. Haven't eaten. This is winding down. But make sure you jump over to the second video, which I still have to do the narration for. I actually don't mind doing the narration. It's kind of fun. Reminds me of the old school DVDs, the director's commentary DVDs, which I've always liked. DVDs, remember those? I watch those sometimes. We've been having movie nights where we'll watch kind of classic favorite movies like 80s movies or 90s movies, just whatever our favorite movies are. And I do have a bunch of DVDs from my college days, so it's kind of fun to like watch those. You know, we watched like Jurassic Park, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I have like some classic movies that are just my all-time favorites. I think one of the next ones we'll watch is Me and You and Everyone We Know. I love that movie. I think I bought that DVD in like the early 2000s. Great movie. Color in his little butt. So in this one, I colored in just the front part of his body and the back part. And I still do the same thing. I block off the head separately, just so it's easier when I have to work on the colors of his head. I don't have to. They won't spill into the body shape. I do a lot of spinning. That's another thing I love. I do a lot of spinning to make sure that, you know, when I'm drawing lines, certain positions and hand positions and arm positions, the lines are just a lot smoother. I have a lot more control, so I do a lot of spinning. And then I always color in the nose on a layer underneath. And his base color is white, so I can just either drag and drop or do hue saturation and just bring the lightness all the way up. Either one works. Alright, so thank you for this commentary, and here's Dave. Alright, thanks for hanging in there. That's the end of part 1. So please jump to part 2, and we're going to keep working on Oliver. We're going to make him look really cute, and we'll get there. We'll get to the finish. So thanks for watching this one. Please jump to the next video, and I will see you there.